we are opposed around the world by a monolithic and ruthless conspiracy that relies primarily on covert means, on infiltration instead of invasion, on intimidation instead of free choice, on guerrillas by night instead of armies by day. There is little value in ensuring the survival of our nation if our traditions do not survive with it.
All right, welcome to episode 180 of the Abuse Hour. It is I, your host, Coffee Long, coming to you unsupervised, unmedicated, and an unchecked threat to society. Yes, indeed. I'm rolling out, knock out a few things, go meet with some peoples, and then continue on with my, day. So, I hate people so much, man. I hate them. So a couple things, man. Today, not really too much that I'm putting out in the way of news items. Everything appears to be pretty much the same in terms of lameness, but I do have some takes on a few things that have gone on lately and a couple other things to think on. And then in between of all that, I've got a little input from our man, local citizen Pepe Silvia, and I don't even know what he's going to say. We'll find out. We'll find out together. That is what we'll do. Anyway, to kick things off, man, somebody had posted in the chat something about Hennessy, which, cognac, dude, I despise cognac. Cognac is not outstanding. If I remember right, cognac is distilled wine, I think. Distilled wine or champagne. Maybe it's champagne. Not delicious. I don't know who is drinking this. Well, I do know who's drinking that, and that's part of the problem. But I don't know who is drinking it because they like it. Yes, this is not a good drink. It doesn't make for a good drink. But what I will tell you is that when I was behind the wood, when I was tending bar, one thing I like to do to our African brothers and sisters, the engineers and doctors among us, the unappreciated geniuses who make civilization possible, I like to troll them with fake fuck drinks made with cognac. So something like your Hennessy. So I would troll them with this. I would tell them that, hey, man, like they would ask about it. Like, oh, can I have some of that? What does that cost? What that cost? How much that one? Or they would get it, like they will just get shots of it. And it's disgusting. It's not good. Like I don't know who drinks this, dude, in real life because it's, because they enjoy it. I don't know. But what I would do, though, is I would say, hey, have you ever had a raspberry beret? And they're like, no, what that? And I said, well, you heard of Prince, right? Yeah. I say, you know that song, Raspberry. That's actually about a drink. And the girl he's singing about in that song was the bartender in Minneapolis that invented this drink. It's sort of like a martini, but it's way fucking cooler. Do you want one? So I would put, I kind of legit made this up on the spot when I first came up with this. I'll put Hennessy Chambord, which is like it's like a raspberry liqueur. And then I'll put just a little bit of, what do you call it? Fucking cranberry juice. Cranberry juice. But anyway, it comes out to like this kind of burgundy color, which, under black lights or when it's dark in the bar or whatever, you can sell this as, whatever, raspberry. But you just shake the shit out of it so it's real fucking cold, and then you put it there, and like, here you go. This is the one, right? This right here. Prince wrote a whole song about this shit. This is fantastic. And they'll act like it's great. Anything you put in cognac is going to make the cognac better. It's not like you can make cognac worse. I mean, even maybe if you mixed it with like Jägermeister, that might make it possibly worse. It might make it also better. Hard to say. But yeah, dude, I would put this together, and it was a good time, dude. You control these fucks. I wanted to put something else together. I wanted to put together something like with Jägermeister and call it Purple Rain. But it's not. Purple's hard to get, honestly. I was thinking, though, like maybe if you did the same thing with like, now that I'm just thinking about it, if you did use like some Chambord, like if you worked off of Chambord plus like blue curacao, which is really just triple sec, it's just sweet sweet orange liqueur. It's nasty and sickly. Like, you can kind of tell looking at the bar, like, what is the nasty shit, because the flies, like little fruit flies, will go after it and they'll have to keep a cap on it. So triple sec, yes, or here, blue curacao, the exact same thing. It's just blue, yes. So if you used like a Chambord and then like a little bit of either cranberry or grenadine, that syrupy shit, that might really do it. And then just a little Jägermeister, that would be so fucking nasty. But you could call it Purple Rain, and you could say it tastes like grape licorice. Yes, this is genius. That's what it is. Now I have to go to the fucking liquor store and see if I can get this shit and put this together. I bet you could sell that. I'll bet my hat you could fucking sell that. Say that it tastes like grape licorice. Who the fuck, who has grape licorice? Who have you ever in your life had grape licorice? But they'll buy it just as a way to give somebody Jägermeister that otherwise wouldn't want it. That would be hilarious to me. I bet you could fuck around with the amounts, with the ratios, and you could make this work. It's grape licorice, dog. Oh man, if I'm not gonna piss away that kind of money to fuck around with a drink. But I bet if you did, it would come out and it would be workable. I wish I had a bar where I could go and do this. If I was still working at a bar, that would be the shit. You know what? Fuck this consulting shit. This is just a pain in my ass that I don't enjoy at all. I'll go back to a bar. That would be the shit. Except, I'm not a 20-year-old girl with huge tits, so I got to do what I can. Anyway, I guess moving along in the same vein, I don't know who it was. Again, in the chat, somebody posted something about, it was just a little video, but it was some cougar-looking broad running probably about a solid 35 years old or so, and had her little black go out, look at me dress, and looks like she is tweaked out of her fucking mind and dancing her ass off and grinding her teeth and this kind of shit. And in the chat, I was like, hey, this right here, like, this gives me bad flashbacks. This is not what you want. This is like the worst thing a man can do to himself. And I think it was fucking Marcus. It's like, fucking, this is a weak take or some shit. Gives me the thumbs down on my anti-cougar post. I wanted to elaborate a little bit on this, man, because I'll tell you something. After a career spent, after a career spent and then doing the divorce dance, like, I have seen this shit in spades. So let me give you all the background before I give you any of the specifics or my official findings, Coffee's official findings. So after doing a career where you're like traveling city to city, state to state, country to country, you do training trips, you do maybe you do some actual work, any of this shit, you're going to be going, like, again, like I talked about before, like, a lot of times you're done late. So you're going like to a restaurant and then to a bar. And then the next day you'll get out of bed at like whatever, 9, 10. You're going to start work in the afternoon. You're going to work again into the night hours because nighttime is the right time, right? That's when the hitting happens. So you're doing this shit. You're in a lot of these bars. You're in a lot of these restaurants. You're in hotel bars, this kind of shit. So you get to see a lot of the prototypes, a lot of the absolute, I don't know, how can you say, like, prototypical, like the total normal, this is what you can expect type situation for these things. So this cougar thing, man, this, some cats will say that it's cool, and I think maybe some young dudes will think that it's cool. And honestly, this is like, until you've gotten over the charity end of it, where you're like, yeah, I'm just getting some ass. And until you can, and I'm not trying to fucking, I don't know, dude, I'm not trying to make this like a connoisseur's take or some shit. But once you get past this thing of like, I'm just happy with ass. Any ass will do, I'll take whatever the fuck I can get. Once you get past that and you have a little self-respect, you're going to look at this situation and like, dude, this is worse than rock bottom. Like, this is self-deprecating. So what's happening here? And I've seen enough of it, dude. I've seen it in other countries. I've seen it across the country. I've seen it over the course of decades, that this cougar thing, what is happening here is you've got this Western situation where in the West, a woman is afforded infinite possibility. And like I talked about on a previous episode, The thing that really sells women is possibility. Like, yeah, like this guy over here, he has a good job. He is a solid dude. But this right here, what I see in front of me, this is as far as he could go. Do you want to settle for him? Or do you want to roll the dice on the SoundCloud rapper who could, because he's still like bunny ears starting out or making his way, he could blow up and become a multi-gazillionaire? Do you want to roll the dice on that instead? Because Mr. Gainfully Employed, he's already said that he likes you. This guy over here, he could be anything yet. You know, let's roll the dice on him. So this deal of possibilities, man. You know, you see this where your cougar is like, you know, she's passing 30. And I'll tell you, like, statistically, divorces, this shit starts coming on at like 28. And then it's when they hit about 10 years of marriage. This is when a woman's opportunity to maximize on a divorce really peaks. So she's going to get maximum money, and then she's going to fuck you over real solid. So it's like right between 35 and 40. So if she's getting married at like late 20s, like between 20 and 30, between 25 and 30, she's getting married. But now between 35 and 40, she's getting divorced. And in her mind, she's still hot enough to go out there and get a solid dude, but she's put enough time in where she can essentially retire off the guy she was just married to. And her thinking here is like, yeah, I knew it. I knew it at the time. I should have fucking gone with my bunny ears instincts and not married this dude because he had a good job, and it's like he was, 30 or early 30s, and he had this good job for a guy in his early 30s, but now he has the same job. And as a guy in his 40s, well, what the fuck is that? And she's thinking this whole time then like, well, I could do so much fucking better. And the reality of the situation is that like probably you did about as well as you should have done. I talked to a young lady once, and she had been talking about this idea of exactly this, like bouncing from guy to guy and how to scam guys basically and work guys. And, you know, eventually, you know, there's girls that are really good at this, and those are the girls that you see like getting flown to Dubai and hanging out on the front of yachts and shit. And I said, all right, man, look. And she had been reading like some book or some website or some shit about this. And I said, all right, look, man, let me give you straight dice here. Those girls that do that, that is not a skill. Those girls are blazing fucking hot. All right. Yeah, they've got a situation where they can take advantage of dudes, of very, very rich dudes, and get flown to these places, and they go to these parties. They do all this shit. But they didn't learn that skill in a book. All right. They didn't learn that off a website. All right. And for every one girl that is like, yeah, I'm getting flown to Dubai. I'm going to hang out on this guy's yacht, and I'm going to go to the fucking horse races with an F1 driver. For every girl that can do that and is hot enough even in the first place to do that, there's about 100 girls who are literally being used as toilet paper by some sheik. And for every one of those girls, there is about 1,000 girls who are getting pumped and dumped in a dive bar bathroom. So if that is what you want, then by all means, proceed. Otherwise, you're going to need to be more realistic about this. Like, be realistic about what you bring to the table, which increasingly throughout the West ain't a whole fucking lot. So you look at this, though, with your cougar, and now you got this woman that thinks that, man, I deserve so much more. Whatever, this guy that's early 40s, he paid for her to go to college so she could realize her dreams. She's got her liberal arts degree or some shit, and now she's being offered some shitty HR job at XYZ Incorporated, Company Who Hates You Incorporated. And she's seeing that potential for like, I could be my own person. I could be a go-getter, an up-and-comer, a big successful businesswoman. And I'm going to get out here and do this thing. But this guy's fucking ruining it. So I grease this fucking guy. He pays me a fucking sum because I don't start working until this deal is done. And then I start working at I Hate You Incorporated. I'm making money from that. I'm making money from him. I'm not completely impacted into the wall yet. So I can get out here just like I was when I was 23, 24, 25, shake my ass, and I'm going to have a brand new guy who loves me for who I am now, and I'm going to be fucking in there. That's honest to Christ. That is how they see this going down. So they get out there then, and the shit ain't the same. And I have said this to I don't know how many women. And I'll get to the how and why here forthwith. But I have said this to I do not know how many women. I do not give a fuck about your resume. And I've said it as simple as that. Don't tell me what you do or where you work or where you went to school. I do not give a fuck. Can you get your legs up by your ears? That's what I care about. Can you make an omelet? That's what I care about. I can make a fucking omelet. Yes. You know what I can't do is suck myself off. So if you're in that market, now we're having a conversation. Yes. But they don't want to hear that. They want to hear that like, oh no, you respect my resume. You respect my professionalism. Woman, you work in fucking HR. You tell people to not to do coke in the break room. You tell people to show up on time. You tell people they got to go to fucking sexual harassment training or fucking don't steal classified or make sure you shut your computer off or any of this shit. That's what you fucking do. That's all you bring to the table. So now they get out here into club and they are not 23, 24, 25. But the last time they were here, they were the center of attention. People were gathered around them. People were lined up to talk to them. And now you're out here and that shit ain't happening. And you hear women talk about this. I have heard them. They have said it to me. It's like I'm invisible because I wish you were invisible. Dudes and dudes like me, we see you. We look at you. We're out and about anywhere. Not even in just some bar. In real life, I see you out there. You're out there trolling for attention. You know, if you're just a person, you're just out there. You're a woman. You're going through life. You're living your life. Maybe you're in great fucking shape. I'll see that. I'll appreciate it. I'll be like, hey, look at this. All right. Hey, good work. Impressive. Nice, nice. You're making the place, making the world a nicer place to be. You're like a nice flower over there on the mantle or something. Like this is what I come outside for. This is outstanding. Good stuff. Good work. But if you're going to come to me like, ain't I the hottest thing in here? No, you're not. That is definitely not what I'm in here for. I'm not in for this post-wall roast beef sandwich. Definitely not here for that. So they get confronted with this painful reality, and now they are fucking pissed. Yes, they are fucking heated. They want something to take that pain away. They want to forget about that a little bit. They want to feel like they did when they were 23, 24, 25. So now they start boozing. As you know, and as I have discussed on here, and in spite of the fact, like you see the little martini glass, I like a drink here and there, which, again, I'm trying to lay off that for a while. I haven't had a drink in like 3 weeks. Trying to trim down a little bit. But in spite of that, I've fucking told you, this shit is high in calories. This shit will fuck with your endocrine system. This shit is not something you want. If you're trying to, like, peak out that physique, if you're trying to make it like I want motherfuckers to look at me, well, then the booze is not your friend. So they steer towards this booze. They steer towards these drugs. I'm going to have a fucking good time if it kills me or somebody else. And that's where you get this fucking cougar. And she's going to be on you. She's going to throw it at you like it's fucking T-ball, man. Like all you got to do is connect. All you got to do is hit the little ball. I'm going to let you walk around these bases. Yay, Timmy, home run. Incredible work. Yay, look at you scored. But they're going to tee this shit up for you. But now here, because like you're I don't know what, you're 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old dude. He's going to look at this concept and be like, well, that's, any port in a storm, right? That's not such a bad thing. It's T-ball. That's, I leave it where I found it then, right? Wrong. Fucking wrong. This is where it actually gets complicated. Because what she is out here for, she is not out here to hook up and get laid, as it were. Maybe that's like a nice side benefit, but that is not her primary thing for being out here. Getting you off is not her primary reason for being out here. She's definitely not hooking up with you long term because, in her words, it's going to be, look, I already raised one man-child. I'm not in the market for another. So you being, 20, 21, 22, they're not in that fucking market where it's like it's going to be some long or regular thing even. Not long-term, but regular where you're like, Well, if I scratch this weekend, I can always call up, Esmeralda or whatever the fuck her name is, right? Genevieve. Like, hey, get your oxygen tank and meet me out front, So they're not looking at it that way. They're not out here for that. What they're out here for is for you to make them feel like they felt when they were 23, 24, 25. And until they can then, kind of parlay that into, I don't know really what would you even be looking for then? Maybe like a 40-year-old multimillionaire CEO. Although, again, like the logic fails here. Like, you're going to find that guy at the club? That's not happening. So, again, they're going to try to weasel their way into, like, they go to these nice hotel bars. You see a lot of that. Nice hotel bars, the bars at high-end restaurants, this kind of thing. You will see them in there. But that's what they are out there for. And in the meantime, you're just kind of there. If you're a young dude, you're kind of there as like a prop with like, look how hot I am. This guy's hitting on me. It's like I'm 23, 24. Doesn't even matter, right? Yeah, I'm 35 up in here, but it doesn't even matter. I'm still hot. Look, Mr. CEO. And that's what you're here for. The problem with you then is going to be that you're fucking this up for her. You're not you're treating her like what she is. Like you're something that I'm going to bang out and blow out and like leave someplace. I'm going to bail the fuck out of here. In the event she even makes breakfast, right? But probably she won't, because this is going to happen like in the car or in the bathroom at the restaurant or whatever. And then you're going to fucking haul ass because the show is over. This is how you're treating her, though. You're at least being honest. Yes? But this ain't what she wants. And she's pissed about that. You're fucking ruining it. And dude, I've gone down this road before. I've been down this fucking road and I've had one of these women talking about like, tell me I'm pretty. Am I pretty? Like, you're pretty fucked up. That's what. You're going to get pretty much alone. I'm going to pretty much leave you in this parking lot if you don't stop talking this way. This only makes it worse. I mean, there's nothing that you can say, dude. And I am not, like, this ain't a fucking girlfriend experience, right? Like, I'm not in here to make you believe a fucking thing. This ain't that market, dude. Like, try to figure out the dynamics here. Like, you're what, 35. You go to the bar, you meet some guy, it's like 23, 24, 25. You make little jokes about how I'm robbing the cradle and I'm still so hot. Oh, my God, I can't believe how well I've held it together. Doesn't this dress look good on me? Or if they're there in a pair, oh, my God, dude. Doesn't her hair look great? Doesn't she look great in that dress? Oh, my God. And like, God damn it, dude. And you start to see, like, I see the pattern. Like, I see what this is about. Like, this just sucks, dude. This isn't any fucking fun. But they're wanting you to make this little make-believe story a reality. So that down the road, they can parlay that confidence into a 40-something-year-old multi-million-dollar CEO who, for some reason, is in the wall for a divorcee with a self-esteem problem. But that's the reality they're living in. And if you're going to be the guy that doesn't support it, then you're the fucking problem. So how do I know this, man? Like, it does sound like I'm talking about like this one time. Like, dude, I have seen this shit. Like, not even just me. Like, I've done this dance a couple of times, but I have seen this shit. Like, mine wasn't even the worst of it. The worst I saw was when I was a young operator, when I was young and spry, I could still go over the wall without groaning. I had a dude that I came up with that was like, this dude was a pussy magnet. And there are some dudes like that in that community. Like, there are dudes like me, they're like regular dudes. Like, you go places and broads see like, this is a one-way trip to being rolled up in a carpet or something, right? And they're like, no, thank you. But cats like this dude, like, this is one of these motherfuckers that broads will cross the room to talk to. And this dude, like, when we were still in our 20s, and there was like a bar that we would always go to, and there's this woman that goes in there, and granted, she was fucking hot. Like, good God almighty. She was hot, but she was, again, here's this profile, like 35, didn't really want to talk about, her divorce. It was ugly. I don't want to relive it. I just want to get past it. I want to move on, this kind of thing. And my friend is talking to her, and like, I see what's happening, but I didn't know, I didn't understand completely the dynamic like I would understand it now. But just the same, knowing that she was a little older, I was still like, I am not going to fault you for this, dude, because she's fucking smoking. And even if this is like only, how could you say, like a recurring character, yeah, you could still forgive the guy because it was impressive, dude. I mean, she was really put together. So he starts doing work on this chick, and he's like, he'll have her over. Me and him were we were roommates at the time, and he'll have this woman over, see her sometimes, see her at the bar, whatever. And now one time we're at this same bar, like one of these bars where everybody from work always hung out, and he's got her in there, and somebody comes up to him, and they're like, hey, what the fuck are you doing with so-and-so's ex-wife? And he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, yeah, that's this dude's ex-wife. And the guy whose ex-wife this was a dude that was like, and the guy was kind of a douche nozzle, but the guy he was like a real senior operator, like a real heavy hitter, dude with a ton of experience, kind of a cock bag, but, you know, it is what it is, whatever. But apparently this guy had, they were getting divorced specifically because she had started fucking some other dude from the team. So they're getting divorced, and now she's hooking up with my friend. And he's like, I didn't fucking know that. And dudes are like, hey, you know, choose your own adventure. Like, this guy is a fucking pain in the ass. He'll start calling people and make life difficult for you probably. Plus, it's just kind of bad form. You know, like, you never want to be in a spot where you're going through the door and then all of a sudden you have this thought in your mind that the dude standing behind you with a loaded gun is a guy whose woman you've been piping. That's not a feeling that you're going to want. So, you know, maybe just scroll that back a little bit. Like, let's just let that one die off. Like, just ghost out of this thing. So he's like, all right, I got to fucking bail. So he tells her, like, look, I got to get going. We got shit to do. And just starts fucking blowing her off. Like, it won't call her back. And he's like, hey, look, man, you're this dude's ex-wife. I can't be doing this shit. And she's like, what the fuck? Gets all pissed off at him, gives him high drama. But he just avoids her. Like, what you know, they ain't fucking married, and he don't live with her. He's got no obligations, right? But now, one time, it's one of these, I think it was like a Thirsty Thursday, yeah. So I get back early from the bar. I'm just hanging out. And this dude then, an hour or so later, he comes through the door, and he looks like he just saw a ghost. And I'm like, what the fuck's wrong with you? He's like, dude, that bitch just tried to run me over. And she did, dude. Like, he was out of the fucking, walking up the road. And he's like, dude, I thought it was her car. And I was like, oh, fuck, man, maybe she's inside. And then I see the lights come on, and then she takes off and aims right for me. And I had to, like, jump onto the fucking sidewalk and, like, dive and shit like a goddamn movie, or she's going to fucking run me over. I was like, I don't know what to fucking say. So we talked to other dudes, and apparently, like, the deal was that, yeah, she did the same shit to the guy she started fucking when she was still married to this other guy. She's just not right in the fucking head. But this is the kind of shit you would fucking see. My own sad sack story, when I got fucking divorced, dude, so this was where, like, it all became very, very, very clear. That, like, when you get divorced, if you're ever unlucky enough to get divorced, I'd never wish that shit on anybody, but if you're ever this unlucky, something that you'll see is you end up talking to other divorced people. You talk to dudes, talk to women, whatever. You'll never talk to somebody that will say, like, yeah, dude, I had a lot to do with this. So my own behavior was definitely a contributing factor here. I mean, yeah, I could say that. Like, yeah, dude, a lot of shit I did, a lot of shit I said, a lot of way I rolled. Really, like, prioritizing work over anything else. And it was fucked up. But, I mean, it's like, it was easy to do at the time. And you don't have anybody to tell you different. They're telling you, like, oh, yeah, bro, fucking protecting the nation, bro. And, oh, yeah, bro, fucking America's last line of defense, bro. And you're like, you buy this shit. You don't know any fucking different. But it's just the same. You know, you talk to anybody that's gotten divorced, and everyone's a victim, dude. It's never their fucking fault. But talking to women then, I mean, you see this shit, and they will want to vindicate themselves. That, like, I was a good wife. I was fucking hot. I was this. I was that. And they're going to use you to prove that. And, man, I had this happen once where it was actually this woman that I knew from when I was, like, young, when I was, like, in high school. I knew this chick. And I had met up with this chick later, like, just kind of stumbled across her, you know, and like, oh, fuck, how are you doing? Oh, fucking awful. Oh, this, oh, that. I'm getting fucking divorced. But she still looked pretty good. And she was, like, early 30s. And I was like, yeah, okay. And then I find out that, like, she ain't really getting divorced. She's like in the market. She still lives with her old man, has a couple of kids. Not in any kind of process of like, I'm getting divorced. More like, I'd get divorced if there's a better deal out there. And I'm like, hey, look, man, I already did this fucking dance, man. Fuck this. I'm like, look, and I had already banged her. So how helpful is that, right? But just the same, I'm like, look, dude, I didn't know your actual situation. I can't be in the middle of this shit, man. You get sorted out. Maybe we talk. We'll see how it goes. But I can't be like your next rung on your ladder. I'm not going to go down this fucking road. And this fucking chick would just show up at the house. Ding, 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 ding. Hey, what are you doing? I'm like, man, I'm living my fucking life is what I'm doing. I was just on the way out. What are you doing? Oh, I drove to see you. You should have not done that. You got a call. Oh, I did call. You didn't pick up. I know, right? It's crazy. All right, hey, don't park there. You'll get fucking towed. I got to go. See you, bye. And it took a while, dude. It took a while for her to get the fucking point that, like, oh, this guy's not going to he's not going to present as an option for me. He's not going to present as my next stepping stone. Oh, this fucking sucks. But once you recognize the dynamic, once you recognize the mechanism, it becomes painfully obvious, and I can't recommend it. I mean, just to tell you how much I won't recommend it, in the event, and I don't recommend this either, like I'm not telling you to do this, I'm not telling you to do any of these things, but just by way of comparison in terms of like, is this not better, but is this worse than that? You would be better off, or you would be less bad off, if you were to get completely sideways, shit-faced, liquored up, and end up hooking up with a chubbo, end up hooking up with some thick broad, hooking up with a chick that looks like she's a starting defenseman for the fucking Red Wings or something. You know, because sadly, that's a mistake I've made as well. You do what you do. I mean, you know, it was a different world. It was a different time. I was a different guy. But, you know, you get liquored up. She looks a lot thinner than you thought she was. The next morning, you're like, God damn it. Like, you see the fucking shoulder pads. You see the ice skates. And you're like, damn, bitch, how long you been a pro? Right? But, you know, it's unfortunate. It's no good. But there's at least some appreciation. Where they're like, oh, wow, that was terrific. Oh, hey, can we hang out again? Can I make you breakfast? Can I do something? Can I drop you off? You know, can I drive you back to get your credit card or your phone or whatever the fuck, your other shoe that you left at the bar as I lifted you and carried you out to the fucking taxi? Like, no, I'm good. I need a mask or something so nobody sees me walking out of here. But, I mean, at least there's a little appreciation. So neither of these things end well, right? Neither of these end favorably. But at least in one instance, it doesn't end with somebody trying to run you over with a car. Or showing up at your place unannounced, beating on the fucking door, demanding answers, right? Like you owe her rent or some shit. Like it's a no-go, dude. It's no good. It's no good at all. So to that end, like probably the best way that I've heard it is that like when you're out here with these women or you're around women, what you're actually shopping for, you're shopping for a partner. Yeah, you're shopping for a mate. Not shopping for the next 3 hours. Not shopping for, you know, what might hold you over until something reasonable comes along. You are shopping for a mate. And if you look at it that way, a lot of these women are like, oh, well, then in that sense, like, cha-ching, immediately disqualified. And you could say that like, well, look, man, this doesn't affect me as much as it affects women, you know, like the one-time quick fix hookup. Yeah, no, it's true. I mean, it's true that women are affected more by this. But to say, even as a dude, that this doesn't affect you, that's not honest, dude. I mean, I could say that firsthand. Yeah, this shit does affect you, man. There's even, and I can't remember what it is, but there is a poem by Rudyard Kipling about exactly this, about how he's gone to all these different places around the world, and I was with this woman in here, and like in Tahiti or some shit, living in a hut. And then there was this other woman over here, and we were like, we're going to be together forever. But then, you know, that ended. And then I was with this other woman. And it was just kind of an examination of like, now you get with some woman who could be very high quality, but it's like, what are you looking at her like now? Are you looking at her like that, like your partner as you want to be able to? Or are you looking at her as in some kind of comparison or in the light of like, yeah, this will probably wrap up in a week or two, you know, most likely, and then I'll be down the road again. Who the fuck knows? But, it's just something to think about, man. It's something. Well, one, something to think about, but two, these cougars, Man, I didn't make you do with the wacky shit that you do and fuck it up with your sell-by date, and I don't give a shit about your resume. So with them, no mercy, dude. Mercy is for the weak. Anyway, with that, let's press pause for a minute and let's get on to some Pepe Silvia and see what he's got. All right, Pepe, take it away.
Good morning, it is Pepe Silvia with a shot of espresso for pleasant conversation, and today I want to talk about captive audiences. Sorry I was gone for a while. It's because I suck, skill issue, and trying to squeeze more daylight from a stone and whatnot. But captive audiences, the way I define them, is like people who can't get away from you, and there's like a second component to it, and that is you want them to like think the way that we think. It's something. There's a significant emotional attachment there. So I'm talking like your girlfriend, your wife, your mom, your dad, your sister, your brother, your auntie, your aunt, whatever, kids, your friends, that kind of thing. People who aren't gonna like scoot away from you on the subway or whatnot. And I'm gonna kind of hyper focus on wives and girlfriends with a small caveat about girlfriends, but for the most part, you can treat them mostly the same because women brain, right? And that doesn't, not to go on an incel thing, but they just think different, so you can treat them different. When it comes to girlfriends, they want to impress you. They are still in like the gathering stage, right? They insert boomer humor, they're gonna do things that they're not gonna do later, ha ha ha. But they are going to like hope that you grow out of certain things. They're going to tolerate certain behaviors in your younger years that they will not tolerate as you get older, and to some extent, like, nor should they, right? Like, hey, going out, getting blackout drunk with her, and having a good time at like a house party or whatever. That's fun. That's fun early 20s stuff. But if you're doing that shit in your 30s, I mean, I don't know, grow up. Point is, with women folk, it's very much, and for all of these people, honestly, if you take one thing away from this, it's less is more, right? Show, don't tell. Now, with women folk, that goes doubly so, because women are, like, they appreciate competency, and they appreciate social reinforcement. And so when you take these things and you're able to display them, right, and you're able to show them, right, they may not like some of the words that we use as men. Oh, that guy's kind of faggy, that guy's kind of Jewy, that guy's kind of got like a Negro brain, right? He has Negro mannerisms or whatnot, and you call these things out. And that's the best way I've seen how to do it in a social setting, because the social setting it does hold the most weight with women. So you're like, that guy's kind of effeminate, like, he's going to be a liar, he's going to be this, he's going to be that. Just you call fag boys out on fag shit, right? And you call, like, Jewish businessman types out on, they don't have to be exactly Jewish, they can just have Jewish mannerisms, and that can be used for predictive behavior in the future. And as you are right time and time again, then the women will be, at first they'll be annoyed, right? But it's another weight on the scale, and over time it adds up. And then they will lean on you, because whether or not, if they're a good person, right? If they're a bad person, if they're like a shitty BPD demon, right, then they're going to constantly fight against you because, I don't know, you resemble their dad or whatnot. But with the like interpersonal predictive measures, they can be very, very useful. And a good woman over time will learn to follow your masculine intuition, as well as, well, we don't call it that, but we just call it racism. But, just as at times you should rely on her woman's intuition. My wife's right about a whole bunch of shit, and I've come to trust it, just as she has learned to trust me. And that's the most important thing. You don't need them to like verbally gas you up the way that we do in our masculine circles, or the way that they do in their feminine circles, where they're like, yes, me to each other. we have our version of that where we're like, it's time for balaclavas, boys. Call the IRA, put car bombs in Margaret Thatcher's car. Let's fucking go up the rock. That's our version of Yas Queen, but they're not going to do that, nor really should they, right? That's our world, they're in their world, and it's good that our worlds are different. It takes both types. It takes the masculine energy and the feminine energy. And the perfect example I have of this, early in my marriage, I've been telling my wife, she knows, my work history and how I used to do construction prior to what I do now, and she's aware of it, right? And she believed me. She didn't think I was lying about it, but she didn't see me do the things. And we encountered this housing problem kind of early on in our first house, and she's freaking out in the beginning, and I'm pulling all this, shit away, this drywall, this insulation, whatnot, and the house is almost fucking open to the outside, and she's freaking out. She's like, who do we call? And I'm like, we don't call fucking nobody. I got this. I'm pissed off, but I got this. This is really fucking annoying, but I know all the things I should do, and I'm in a different place, so I'm looking up the building codes for, this thing and that thing, this state, this area, whatnot, and I'm making sure I follow them, and she's watching me do all these things, not just do them good enough, but also do them right, and it is impressing her, because women are visual competency brain type people. They're not visual in the way that we are, where we take old biddies. They like to watch you do the thing and be successful at the thing. That's what they like, right? And as I'm doing these things, wall goes up, everything gets better, and she's like, oh wow, and this boosts her confidence. Now she's bringing me problems. She's like, oh, could you do this? Is this a bigger thing? And she's bigger and bigger things, bigger home improvement ideas. And, I've made more work for myself, but I have, money in the bank, so to speak, and doubly so because as her friends, she's bragging to her friends that I can do this. Now her friends' husbands, it starts small. Somebody needs another pair of hands, and then, I become the guy that they call for doing these things, and that's social credit, right? And that's big to women. That's money in the bank, and it all goes to that, that show don't tell. It goes to that less is more. And when it comes to our thing, right, you just explain to them, this is what I'm doing, and you have to show them what you're doing. I don't spend money on movies. I don't spend money on streaming services. Why don't I do that? It's Jewish. Why don't I do this? Why don't I do that? I try not to eat the goy slop. I try not to eat the goy feed. And she's following me, right? Because that's what the job of the man is, to lead and the woman is to follow. And if you lead, it doesn't have to be leading with words, right? And me, extrovert, talker, I want to lead with words, and I will yap her ear off, and she will be, for fucking years too, but it will be annoying to her and to any woman, right? Because even though boy do women love yapping, they don't want to yap in the way that we as men want to yap, right? I'm talking about geopolitical things, I'm talking about conspiratorial things, and they're all 60 million miles above her head. She's like, the fuck does that have to do with me? I don't give a shit about what Netanyahu does. I don't care what Zelensky does. I don't care what. And it got to a point with my wife, because this was, I think, maybe during the height of the whole Ukraine thing, and I'm just going off. I'm like, look, this money's going here, this is doing this. And she's like, I don't fucking care. That doesn't help me any. I get it, not taking our kids to bad movies and whatnot. And, there'll be times when we have little differences about these types of things. Like, hey, I don't want them to see this movie. She goes, why? It looks cute. I'm like, nah, fuck it. But, she'll, default to my position. She'll concede. That's the word, thank you. She'll concede. And it has to do with that show don't tell. It has to do with that, look, no, this is what I'm going to do. Follow me. And I'm not going on and on and on about, this thing and that thing and the military and the numbers and the movements and all that, because that's a masculine thing. It's our world. That's a masculine world, and I shouldn't be dragging her into that. It's exhausting. It's alien. It's boring. The same way I don't want her dragging me into the feminine world, right? And the joke of the feminine world right now is kind of like, would you love me if I was a worm? But if you apply that to our thing, it's going to be like, Jews are mean, Jews are genociding Palestinians, blah, blah, blah. And all these very feminine anti-Jewish arguments, if you were stuck swimming in those, you'd be just as fucking annoyed as a woman who agrees with us who's stuck swimming in the masculine argument. And it's, yeah, we agree with it, so it makes it infinitely more tolerable. But at a certain point in time, you don't like being surrounded by this feminine shit. So that's kind of, I think, where I'm going to put a button in it. Because, again, less is more, show don't tell. And if you're with if you're dating around and she's clearly incompatible, you're not going to fix her and she's not going to fix you. Open and clear communication is always the best. But as always, and you should be, dating for marriage. That's just kind of our part and parcel. It's baked into the cake of fascism and National Socialism for us to, that's the point. Get married to our women, make our children, protect the next generation. Anyway, I love our people. That's why I do this, and that's why you should do that, and that's why you should also talk to white women, because as annoying as all women can be, ain't no women like white women. Love our people. Love you guys. Israel Delenda Est. Pepe out.
All right, Pepe Silvia with quality content. Thank you very much. You can put down your pipe and smoke it. Yeah, go nuts, dude. But yeah, good stuff. Appreciate it. All right, so pressing on then, before we get to the last of the items I've got here, I want to hit the admin stuff. If you dig this content, you can find it anywhere dodgy content is pervade. Your iTunes, your Spotify, your YouTube, and of course where the action is on the Telegram, t.me/The Abuse Hour. And if you want to drop a guy $1 or $2, the Leave a Coffee thing or Buy Me a Coffee thing is just there. And one thing that I'm not sponsored or anything, but if you want to give them a try, AboveTimeCoffee.com, a product made by white people for white people. Put it in a cup, put it in your mouth. It's for you. But yeah, it's good stuff, dude. They don't pay me, I just shill, but it's a decent cup of coffee. In any case, pressing on then. I don't remember what I was doing, but it just kind of occurred. You know what? I do know what I was doing. I was listening to a review of the Candace Owens. Was that goofball Wilson, whatever the hell his name, Andrew Wilson, I think. That not a debate that they had about the Charlie Kirk situation, and something kind of occurred to me while I was just listening to that. So as a sort of a review, I'm not getting in the weeds with that nonsense, but as just a quick review, long and short, your Andrew Wilson, the guy just got on here and argued process like he's a Hebrew lawyer or something. So as to say like, well, you have to assume this, or you have to concede that. Well, if you say this, then we have to agree that. Just the entire time, man. And I guess in all, if I am going to look in any way at any of the merits of the debate, my thing with this was that if you're going to assert something, if you're going to assert anything, you have to bring some kind of evidence. You are the one making the assertion. So just like if you're the state or if you're any of these yahoos supporting your Erica Kirk song and dance, if you're going to say that this guy, I think, if you're going to say it's Colonel Mustard in the library with the fucking lead pipe, yes, with the candlestick, if you're going to say any of these things, then you have to come with something that would cause the rest of us to believe this. If you give a shit if we believe it or not. If you're just telling a story about like, yeah, this one time I hooked up with this cougar. All right, it doesn't change anything for me. That's your business. Nice story. But if this is going to be something that like, well, no, I want you to believe this. Okay, well, guy, then you need to offer me something I can hang a hat on. But the way this has gotten presented, and I think it's the same way with the 6 million, it gets presented, but it gets presented on the merits of who is in charge. It gets presented on the merits of authority. Well, the cops are saying this. Well, the official story is this. And you hear this again and again, the official story. Dude, I don't give a fuck what anybody's bunny ears official story is. If you don't have something that you could put in front of me and say, This right here is what happened. And here's why I think this is what this means. Then don't ask me to fucking believe it. If it doesn't matter if I believe it or not, then it doesn't really matter what you put in front of me. And it doesn't fucking matter if I do or don't believe you. It doesn't much matter if Coffee believes it was this fucking furry fucker kid that pulled the trigger, or if it was somebody else, or the government, or Benjamin Netanyahu himself. It does not matter, right? It's not going to change the outcome of this based on what Coffee thinks. Nobody's asking me. But if you want me to believe this, and it does seem like they do, it seems like public sentiment seems to matter a whole fucking lot for some fucking reason. If you want me to believe this, though, you're going to have to come with something other than, well, the official story, bro. So as it is then, this debate, this not a debate, it just circle jerked for like 3 straight hours. I couldn't even listen to the whole thing because they never really got to anything that you could call a meritable discussion of the facts. It was all about, well, what did you say? No, you said this, but you said that. Are you looking at your phone? I bet you're looking at your phone. And for my money, and I've got something else I want to pile on top of this too, but for my money, that was the entire point. That was the entire strategy. And whether your Candace Owens was in on that or not, I don't know that she was. I think probably she gets steered into the weeds a little bit on a lot of this. I think maybe she's not really that fucking bright. Maybe she's smart for a black chick. That's great. But in all, on a not weighted scale, I don't think she's that fucking bright. So I think she gets steered into the weeds on some of these things. I don't know. I couldn't speak to exactly how factual or what exactly does it mean when you cite search histories that took place in Israel or typed in Hebrew letters. I couldn't speak to any of that. What about transponders of Egyptian-owned planes or people who were or were not present at Fort Huachuca in the weeks prior to this assassination? What does or does not that mean? Did or did that not happen? I really couldn't fucking say for sure. Maybe that's part of the thing too, is like we're going to throw so much wacky shit out there you won't know to shit or go sailing, and then we can just sail under the radar. So I really couldn't say on some of this. If somebody could show me, and I'd be appreciative if they could. But when I looked at it, it was like, well, how closely does this match searches that did occur? That was my understanding. Yeah. So it's kind of like when you're, I don't know, you're looking for a pizza place and you're looking for Joe's Pizza, right? But there ain't no Joe's Pizza. You remembered it wrong. So I got Joe's Subs. Is that what you were looking for? I got a John's Pizza. Was that the one you wanted? So it's kind of like by percentages there. That was the way I understood it. So when you say Charlie Kirk searched in Arizona and it says 90, well, maybe it was like a 90% match. Maybe it was like Charlie Curran or Chuck Kirk or James Kirk, Captain James T. Kirk. I don't fucking know. All right, but that's the thing to me, is it like you're not giving me something definitive where I could say, yeah, this absolutely is fucked up. This Andrew Wilson guy, though, for my money here, this guy got his fucking $7,000. That's what I fucking think. I think this guy got his $7,000, and his only mission was do not let the facts get discussed. Talk about the procedure. Talk about, well, what are you actually saying? What are you actually asserting? Are you saying you do think this, or that you just don't think that, or that you're just not quite sure about this? Because what are you saying? Because I think you said this over here on one of your episodes. Like, I don't remember which one. Maybe we could like pause for like a fucking hour and horse around and circle jerk and talk about whether you did or didn't say it. The guy actually got into it with like, I don't know, are you getting messages like on your phone? Are you getting messages on your phone? Like, I don't even know, like, what even were, like, the specific, like, charges. I don't totally know. Do you totally know? How do you know? I want to look at your phone. I bet someone's telling you. Like, what the fuck is this shit, dude? Like, what are you even debating? You're, like, debating whether or not she's giving you an honest debate. That doesn't even touch the thing that was at issue. But that, to me, kind of suggests a lot about the motivation here. Like, what is the concern? Because this thing, and I don't want to go into fucking weeds. Like I've already talked about the Charlie Kirk thing. I don't want to get too far into fucking weeds with this. But this thing, to me, hinges, plain and simple, on like, what is the evidence? So what does that evidence suggest took place? The only evidence that is there is that this guy got a hole in his fucking neck and bled out. Somebody found a rifle over there in the woods someplace that the dogs didn't hit on. And then there's what is purported to be a video of this guy who I want to say it was Devin Stack. Maybe it was Devin Stack. Came out with it later and was like, hey, look at the uncropped video of what they're showing you. So the video they were showing you was this cropped video, but it's cropped so that all you see in the frame is this skinny motherfucker walking it off, from the parking lot here or there. He's like, now look though, because they showed you that, but now later the shit that came out, they're like, here, look, it's fucking 4K, bro. But it's not 4K. But what it was an uncropped video. And he's like, look at the fucking cars over there. So when you look at the cars, and the cars are all crunched up like they're fucking Legoland cars or some shit. And now when you uncrunch it, when you unsqueeze the video, and you see the guy at his normal proportions, the dude's fucking jacked. I mean, and he looks like, here's some fucking federal agent. Here's some guy who's in the know. And he's being told to go here, park here, put on this hat, wear these glasses, just walk in here like this. Why the fuck am I doing this? Don't fucking worry about it. Just do it. So when you see this, now you got to go, well, wait. So what is the evidence? The evidence is a manipulated video. The evidence is a rifle that the dogs didn't hit on as having been fired recently and has, according to the prosecution, 5 sets of DNA. What's that kid's name? Tyler Robinson's being the most degraded on the rifle. So what is the only thing that puts him there? It's these wacky videos. And then we rolled the kid up at some place or other later on. Kind of like your Lee Harvey Oswald, right? Well, how do you know it was him? Because we rolled him up at some other place later on. Okay. But to me, though, to sum it all up, was the question of, if you shoot a guy in the neck with a 30-06, is that what's going to happen to his neck? The answer, very much, as has been demonstrated, like a motherfucker, by that Valhalla guy. The guy actually had a guy go out, wrapped a cow femur in a bunch of stakes, and then put a guy at 140 yards, elevated to that exact angle, took the shot, and it blew this thing fucking apart. Like kablam, like it's gone now. It's not here anymore. So again, for my money, it would have taken this guy's head clean off. Smooth off, as the Africans say. But this guy, this Andrew Wilson, now this to me was like the dead giveaway, because he threw a little piece in here. He tried to be a little too fucking smooth. And for my money, this was the dead giveaway. This was the prepped fucking line that you walked in here with. So he walks in here, and he says he tried to throw something about this being a frangible round first. So he walks in here, and apparently the story was that this was a Remington core-locked soft tip round. So the idea there is that this round is designed to kind of mushroom on impact, right? So the size of the round expands, and then it causes more tissue damage as it moves through the target. Well, what it doesn't do is break into pieces. That, by definition, is a frangible round. So it hits something like kablam, it's a little more fragile. It breaks apart. So why would you want that? So this was something that we would use on, let's see. You could say heavily crowded targets, something that's going to have a lot of people around, like a hostage rescue type thing. If you were going, say somebody takes down a school and you got to go in here. And you don't know what this guy's going to fucking do. Maybe he's hiding behind people. Maybe he's running around, and you got to try to hit him. You're going to want that frangible round, because now you take a shot. Say you hit the guy. What if it goes through him and into somebody else? That's going to be a fucking mess. You don't want that. Do you you took your own risks getting in here? You don't want to hurt somebody else in the process. What if you miss altogether and it's going to go through a wall? What if it goes through a wall and hits somebody else? You don't want that. So you want this thing to hit whatever it's going to hit and then break apart. Ideally, you want to be a solid enough shooter that you hit this guy and that guy only, and he goes down. But even if it goes through him, it's broken up. So the only thing coming out of him is going to be small pieces. That's a frangible round. Now, what happened here with this Andrew Wilson situation is the guy says, yeah, so what you've got here is you've got this Remington core lock, and it's a frangible, a soft pointed round, a soft tip round. So so a frangible round is what we have. So he kind of tests the water to see if, like, when I float frangible out here, are you going to cringe on it? So this is just like, hey, what do you think we go get some drinks and you give me a blowjob? I mean, unless, I'm just fucking around, unless you're good with it, right? It's the same fucking thing. So we've got frangible, soft tip. Are you going to say anything? No, so a frangible round is what we have in this case. So this is what the guy says. So now he's floating this idea of frangible round by you, which I don't know that they even make a fucking 30-06 frangible. What the fuck good would that do? It's for shooting moose, dude. So if it hits a rib or it hits a shoulder, it's going to hurt the animal, but he's going to run off into the woods. So now you just got an injured animal running around out there someplace. You got to try to figure this out. That's not good for anything. Who the fuck wants this? He also tries to float this thing of shifting this to a question of not should there be an exit wound, should it take his head smooth off. He floats this thing of could this round break up. So he's basing this argument of that the round could break up off of the idea that it's frangible, which we already know it isn't, but he sort of seeded it in there and nobody said anything about it, so it was allowed to stick. So now you've got this frangible round argument, this 30-06 frangible round, Remington core, no such fucking animal, all right? You don't fucking have that. You can't have that. But he's floated it anyway. And his argument then becomes not would that amount of energy take this guy's head off. The argument then becomes could it hit a human vertebrae and shatter? Well, if a fucking frangible round hits a human vertebrae, yeah, I guess maybe. Like a 5.56, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'll go with that. A vertebrae locked inside a meat sack, yes. If a 5.56 round, a frangible round hits that, sure, it'll shatter. Will it still exit? Maybe. Will pieces of it exit? Maybe. Will it shatter? Probably. But again, this is not that. You're talking about this mysterious 30-06 frangible round that was not used. But then this guy reduces that to if this mysterious round was used and hit a human vertebrae, could it shatter? That's what he has reduced this argument to. So with the medical report saying that there were fragments recovered from inside him, now you're arguing against something that they already have, which is not the fucking argument. Okay, you have fragments of something inside the fucking guy. Okay, does that mean it was a 30-06 round? No, there's no way to tell. They're not sure. Does it mean it was a frangible round? No, it's you can't tell. Nobody fucking knows. Maybe it was. Yes. Was it a 30-06 Remington core lock? No. No, it was fucking not. And even though this guy tries to float it as like, that round he honestly said that round could break apart in midair. No, fuckface, it could not. Nobody shoots a round and then suddenly it left the barrel and then it just broke apart in midair. That would come up at some point. Somebody would say something like, hey, what the fuck is with this shit? It just came out. It came out of the barrel and then it flew into fucking pieces. How often have you ever heard that? I don't believe so. Get the fuck out of here. So this kind of parlays into what I want to hit on next. This idea that they very much want to control this narrative. They very much care about what you think about this thing. So moving along with this, then, another thing that they very much care about what you think about is this Jason Arde situation. And this, I think, kind of explains a little bit more about why they care what you think about this thing. And it's not because of how you're going to vote or what you're going to tell your friends. It's for something much, much else, as they might say. So this Jason Arde situation has gotten a little bit weirder. So I heard a summary of it. Dude, I saw a little video with a summary of this guy's many, many exploits. And as a quick recap, this guy claims that he was born with early identified developmental disorders, The doctor said that he's non-responsive, that he's basically a vegetable. They're saying that he was unresponsive, or that he was nonverbal until he was 11, that he couldn't read or write until he was 18, that he was on one or more shows. Some show, I think it was called 7 Up, where they're following like 7 different kids as they grow up. And turns out this show was filmed in the fucking 70s. So no, shithead, you weren't on this show. Claimed that he started running marathons to raise money, that he ran like 30 marathons in 35 days, that he ran like 600 miles in 6 days, or no, maybe it was 300 miles in 6 days, some crazy shit like this. So ran some ungodly amount of miles, that he had a stress fracture during one of these runs, but he continued on for like another 3 marathons, that he at some point got in a car crash where they discovered he had a brain tumor, and then he was in a coma, but then he got out of the coma, and then he played pro-level soccer, claimed he played for Crystal Palace, claimed that he played pro-level snooker, whatever the fuck that means. Claimed that he was an adjunct professor at Ohio State, at Nelson Mandela University, and at some university in Glasgow. Claimed that, what else, man? Claimed that he wrote a book. Did this, some other thing, like claimed that he had raised money for some non-existent charity to dig wells in Africa. All of this shit. And then goes on to move through a PhD program. And again, here talking about, says when he was 22, so I listened to part of an interview with this idiot, says that when he was 22, decided he wanted to pursue a PhD. So again, this is like 4 years after he learned to read, according to him. 5 years ago, he couldn't read or write. Now, this many years later, 4 years after he finally figures this shit out, he wants to pursue a PhD. Shut the fuck up, all right? So decides he wants to pursue a PhD, somehow comes up with a PhD, becomes the youngest black professor ever at Cambridge. Suddenly then people start figuring it out, and some guy starts looking into it, figures out all these stories are bullshit. They're all made up. There's interviews with his classmates from elementary school where they said, no, man, he talked plenty. He was like fucking class clown. He fucked around, did little voices and shit. Okay, so that's out of there. Fucking all of the stuff that this guy did, there's no record of any of it. Places he said he taught, there's no record of any of it. His dissertation, total bullshit. But now they're attacking the guy, for a long time, attacking the guy who figured this shit out, saying that he's the bad guy. So eventually, they say that they're, here was the best part, was when he says it, when they start asking questions about this, now he starts talking about, yeah, people came to me office with a knife and masks, and they said if I don't quit that they're going to kill me. They're like, all right, well, nobody saw anything like that. I guess we could put some cameras. So they put cameras up near his office. Oh, they done it again. Okay, well, there's nobody on the fucking videos. Oh, well, they must have snuck in, and then they sent pig's head to me mom and dad. Okay, from what, this local butcher? Yeah, from this local, I know the exact one. So the cops go around, and they're like, pig's head? No, we would have remembered something like that. We never did nothing like that. That's fucking crazy. Whoop, whoop. So they start figuring out all this is bullshit. They say, all right, we're going to do a formal investigation into this guy. Figure out he's bullshit. The very next day after they announced this, he resigns using a using a borrowed resignation letter. And then shortly after, he offs himself. For the best, really. So the thing here, though, is that this is basically like nobody looked at this. So the first take would be that the fault is not especially with him, because silly Africans are going to do what silly Africans do. They lie, they make shit up, they imagine shit. They imagine shit and they want it to be true so bad that they're actually convinced that it is true, and they'll walk out there with a straight face and tell you how true it is. But now knowing that, we can look and say, well, look, man, you don't have to believe every African who says he broke a world record, and you shouldn't. So naturally, we start to look at the people who were believing it. We start to look at the people who didn't question it. We start to look at the people who hear these tall tales and they say, all right, wait a minute. You were in a coma for how long? You couldn't even read till when? And then you were doing all this other shit. How did you have time to do, like, realistically, not in a cutesy way, like, oh my God, when do you sleep? I mean, really, when did you even have time to do all of this shit? It's not realistic, friend. And if you were moving at such a breakneck fucking pace, people would have noticed this. People would have seen it. They would have been like, yeah, I was there when that motherfucker, like I came and I saw him and he was running and I left. I had to go on a work trip. I came back. I go out there. He's still running. I went to lunch. I come back. He's still running. It was fucking amazing. It's fucking crazy. People would remember something like that, would they not? Yeah, I remember that guy. He was a fucking simpleton when we were a kid. And now I listen to him talk. Holy shit, man. This guy really put the time in. And which he did say that, like, oh, yeah, man, I was doing speech therapy like 6-7 days a week, like 10 hours a day. Somebody went to the trouble to call every fucking speech therapy service that was anywhere around this guy, and all of them were like, man, we don't do that. It doesn't fucking work like that. It's not fucking realistic. And even for a guy to say that, nothing works that way. Like, yeah, dude, I'm going to get into jiu-jitsu, but I'm going to fucking really ramp it up, and I'm going to do it like 10 hours a day, you see. I'll be a black belt in like 2 years. No, you fucking won't, man. You'll be crippled in like 2 years. This is fucking stupid. Nothing works this way. Anybody who has ever done anything understands that it doesn't fucking work like that. But again, here we fucking are. So naturally then, the question would be, like, where were you assholes at on the vetting? Was it that just you wanted this to be true so fucking bad that even when you saw something that didn't make sense, you just turned a blind eye? Was it that you saw shit that you knew was wrong, but you were willing, or you were just willing to hope that, like, maybe he does a little bit of good. Maybe he just serves as some kind of inspiration for the rest of these dusty field hands that can't find their own ass with 2 hands and a map. Anything. We'll take anything at this point. That would be the natural inclination, to look at them and say, well, you know, this is actually your fault. This guy's a fucking simpleton. All you guys did was take advantage of him. You guys fucked this guy around. You wheeled him out here as your poster boy. You encouraged him. Nobody called him on any of these stupid fuck stories. You encouraged this shit. And now, when it all falls to pieces, now you look like the asshole. Because, I mean, he looks like an asshole anyways, but, you know, a simpleton can be forgiven for being a simpleton. Yes, this is your fucking fault. That would be a reasonable take. That seems like the natural way to respond to this. However, I don't think this is about the African. I don't think this is about Cambridge. I don't think this is about any of the vetting bodies that should have recognized that this guy was full of shit. I think that this is about you. Because who are they really pointing the finger at here at the end of the day? They're pointing the finger at you. You bullied him. You called him out. You ridiculed him. You made him do this. You made him end his own life because you couldn't keep your comments to yourself. And I've seen a shit ton of these, of course, from women. You know, at the end of the day, people forget that there's a person attached to all these stories. Oh, fucking really? Where were you on the Henry Novak thing, man? Where were you on any of this grooming gang shit? Any of these tens of thousands of kids? There's a person, there's a story attached to every single digit there you see. Every fucking story, every reference, every fucking data point. That's somebody's kid that got done absolutely wrong, who didn't do shit wrong. They got taken advantage of and left to fucking twist by the people who should have been helping them. But now you only give a fuck when it's a guy with dreadlocks down to his ass. So this business of like, well, there's a person attached, I don't give a fuck, for one. For two, what I'm getting at here is that I think that this is about you. This is about telling you that we will tell you what is true or false. We will tell you what is right or wrong. We will tell you what is good or bad. We will tell you what does or does not deserve your sympathy or your attention or your mercy. And by this guy killing himself, no matter how fucked up and egregious and wrong both him and the institution were, the real culprit here is you, motherfucker. So the next time we tell you, here is your hero, bend your knees and fucking worship, you will fucking do it. And they're talking now about setting up some kind of law where, like, when somebody gets in the news for some kind of thing, there's only going to be a certain time window that people are allowed to cover it. Because shit like this needs to get memory hold as soon as fucking possible. So to kind of wrap it up then, like, where do you go from here? Because I hate to observe shit and say, like, well, what do you really do from here? I heard like a really goofball, like, dude, I'll have some goofball shit. Like if I'm just getting a workout or I'm working on something, and I'll have like some YouTube playing in the back, and I'll always get these like how to, and I get a lot of these dog shit AI videos. But I did get one that I thought, like, it was trash generally, but it did ring a bell insofar as, like, this is an actual idea that a guy could build on. And the idea was, it was kind of like a Machiavellian thing, but generally, the idea that sometimes you just got to let people think you're the villain. You got to be okay with it. You got to let people think that you're the bad guy. Go ahead and think I'm fucking evil. Oh, you think I'm the evil, horrible, colonizing, exploiting, raping, looting, pillaging white man? Yes, I fucking am. Do not leave your shit or your daughter unattended. I will be there with bells on. Yes? So with this kind of thing, you want to say I'm exploiting, I'm ridiculing the more unfortunate or the less fortunate or the underserved. Yes, I fucking am, because I am better than they are. They are not where I am for every good reason. My parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, they all busted ass to put me in a position to be more than they were. So naturally, some slipknot fuckstick coming out of fucking Accra, Ghana, or wherever this piece of shit imported himself from, there is no good reason for that guy to be suddenly moving through academia better than everybody at everything. And we should all look at him and go, oh, wow, look at this asshole. Raised himself up from nothing. Fuck no. Fucking fuck no. And even these cats that come from these other places and they do well at something, a lot of times athletics, it's because they're coming here and they're standing on your shoulders. Their parents sucked. Their parents before them sucked. They're not too fucking bright, but they can come here, and because they don't have to work, they don't have to worry, they don't have to sweat the load over where their next rent check or their next meal is coming from, they can get out here and do what they want to do, which 99% of the time is, I just want to play football. So they go out here and they play football, and they do surprisingly, or not surprisingly well. Like, how well would your kid do if that's all he wanted to do and didn't have fuck else to worry about? Seems pretty fucking reasonable. But this shit here, no. And this business of pretending like they are our equals, if that makes me the bad fucking guy, then so fucking be it. I'll be the villain in this picture. And for my money, I think you ought to be okay with being the villain too. Stop with this nice guy shit. Stop with this explaining shit. Stop with this like, well, look, it's not as bad as I'm making it sound. I don't care how it fucking sounds. If it sounds bad to you, then go ahead and feel bad. You can feel bad for both of us because I do not. So with that in mind, I'm good and heated, happy to be the villain. But with that in mind, I'm going to leave you to it, man. And until next time, you keep your eyes on the horizon and keep your neck out of the noose. I have been Coffee. These are my takes.